Hello and welcome to Talking Trades, the podcast where we talk about comics so you don't have to. I'm Matt, the variant DC fan.
And I'm John. I'm the Nexus Marvel nut.
And did you know it was also Agatha? No, I'm just messing with you. Tom Hiddleston has admitted, as much as he loves Loki and Thor and being part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, that his favorite superhero is actually Superman.
You know, there's something about the classics.
You're right. There is something about the classics. I figured, with a fact, figured we'd go with the actual actor for the show Loki, which is what we're talking about in episode 4 of Talking Trades Goes to the Movies and also to their couches.
Yes.
Right. Yes, we are.
Also, just a quick aside. Tom Hiddleston also said he would play Loki for his entire life if Marvel wanted him.
And you know what? I support it.
And that's great.
I support it. It with the whole change in Marvel not wanting to do these big multi-film contracts, it's good to get actors that want to come back and want to continue playing the role.
I imagine a good chunk of that was Civil War, getting Downey Jr., because that was not part of his contract.
No, it was not.
So I imagine with that one, they're like, you know what? Let's just not lock people into all these films. Because I also don't know if Sebastian Stan, Anthony Mackie, if Captain America and Falcon and the Winter Soldier counts as a movie, and if so, how many movies?
Right, because this was a series.
I just have no clue.
Yeah,
what that looks like.
Yeah, that definitely. I think we're going to be seeing those contracts changed up now that they have really conquered the streaming service world now with their third just hit show, knocked it out of the ballpark with Loki after WandaVision, which we all loved, and then after Falcon and Winter Soldier, which we all loved. It's been fun. It's been fun to see the MCU take these stories that would not hold up in a movie theater, especially if they tried to start with this craziness at the beginning. No way. But now it's like they get to experiment more with the cool multiverse stuff, and it's all going to drive Doctor Strange crazy because he's going to be like the angry dad that has to fix everything.
That movie, I have so many high hopes for it. There's no way it can live up to all of them.
There's so much unknowns, and now with WandaVision and with Loki, it's like, man, my man's going to be running everywhere. Like Sorcerer Supreme is going to need a nap with all this just bananas stuff with the timelines and different realities and all of that stuff. But let's dive into this series, this 6-episode series of Loki. Spoiler alert, starting now. So if you are listening to this episode and have not watched Loki, go watch it. It's real fast, 6 episodes, really good. And then come back and listen to us. And then listen to us again because you feel bad that you're listening to us late. But let's dive in. So Loki starts.
Matt, what were your expectations going into Loki?
That Loki was going to be in it, and that I would be okay with Marvel sitting out on this one and just taking a show off because we've gotten 2 really good ones. They could have just taken a break, and I don't think anybody would have held it against them. But I just went in expecting that there was going to be a show and it was going to involve Loki. I was not expecting wibbly wobbly timey wimey stuff. That is for sure. I knew that it was going to involve the scene in Endgame where he got the cube and escaped because the Hulk, I don't know if you know this, hates stairs. And
he hates
stairs. But otherwise, what they gave me is I wasn't expecting it, but I'll take it. What about you, John? What were you expecting going into a Loki show?
I'm going to controversial opinion. I'm going to say not much. I do not much care for the trickster archetype in fiction. It's just not my jam.
Loki.
Never honestly has been. I was at the first 2 episodes like aired, and I hadn't watched them yet because I just like WandaVision. I'm like, yes, I have a childhood. And a good part of that is like classic TV sitcoms.
Right.
Like, let's go. Captain America or Falcon Winter Soldier, and I'm like, yes, let's absolutely
like,
go. Loki, I'm like, I honestly just I'm not really digging this. So I was at the card shop doing Hot Boy stuff, and a couple of my friends were like, have you seen Loki yet? And I'm like, no, I just have not. They're like, oh man, it's really good. I'm like, I just with that character. They're like, but it's like all like trickster, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't really care for that. And they go, you know what? That's true. Of all the people I know, you really don't care for shenanigans. Like, you're right. I don't. But then I started watching Loki, and I was completely sold by the bureaucracy. Super into the TVA. All in.
Yes. If we did which drama character were you? John would get Hermes.
Hermes Conrad, 100%.
He wasn't born to be a bureaucrat. But yes, it was, you go in and you weren't really expecting getting what you were getting, and we got the TVA, which was reminiscent of the Umbrella Academies. I don't know the name of them.
Tom Citurnalis.
The
which means time eternal.
Yeah, the that organization that Five worked for that we saw, and Diego went there for a bit. You know, the one in Umbrella.
They headhunted him.
Yeah, you know.
Did I watch Umbrella Academy again? Yeah, I did.
Yeah, good show. Good show. Listen to our episodes about that as well. But let's dive in. So, show starts. Loki gets the cube, as you do when the Avengers are on their time jump rescue mission to save half of the people in the known universe from going, really half of all life. You know, they're saving half of the animals that also disappeared. Thanos is a bad guy. He killed dogs. Just remember that. I look forward to Disney giving him his solo film, because apparently they have a thing for villains that kill dogs. I'm not still mad about that.
But now they're like, why didn't Cruella perform that well? And it's like, I don't know, Disney. Why do we think Cruella didn't perform that well?
But yeah, so it starts off there. Loki gets the cube and is out. He leaves New York, and he teleports to, I think it was Egypt. But I could be wrong.
Somewhere far away in a desert climate.
Yes, somewhere far away, and there's a desert. And, he's like, haha, I made it. And then some portals open up, and out of these portals come essentially people that look like they are dressed as a SWAT team. And you find out that they work for the TVA, and they're like, you are a variant. You're going to cause a Nexus event. You're coming with us. And of course, Loki's like, nah. And they're like, yeah, because they manipulate time when they punch him, and it just takes forever just to receive the punch. It's fun stuff.
On purpose. They strike him, and they put him in, I think, 1/16th time, where it's taking forever, but he feels everything in real time.
Yeah.
Just because they can.
Yeah. And
the major conceit of the TVA is that there is a sacred timeline. And as Owen Wilson's Mobius puts it himself, like everything, like there's a way everything has to happen, and it happens that way again and again because it has to.
Yes.
And that's the main thing. So what the TVA does is they will find Nexus events, which are where people don't act the way they're supposed to act. For example, Loki wasn't supposed to take the Tesseract and leave in 2012.
No.
So that made this Loki a variant. And what they do is they prune the timeline. They seize or otherwise remove him from the timeline. and reset the timeline with a gadget, like a kind of like a pulse bomb of some kind that just resets the timeline. And that branch never happened.
Yep. Stops the Nexus event before it happens. And so Loki is taken to the TVA, and you meet Miss Minutes, voiced by the impeccable Tara Strong. And she kind of, she does the whole like onboarding video to the TVA. Like, here's the TVA. Here's what the TVA does. They make sure that everything serves the sacred timeline. And so Loki is going to be held on trial for being a variant. He has no idea what's going on to him. This is, remember, 2012 Loki, where he's very much, I have been burdened with glorious purpose, and I am a god, and all shall kneel before me.
Yeah, this is Loki like 30 minutes after Avengers.
Yes,
like,
this is not.
Bear that in mind.
This is not the Loki you saw in Endgame, where he was willing to die to save Thor and Asgard.
Or Ragnarok, who had the huge character growth. Mm-hmm. Not that Loki.
So you deal with really just a long bit of bureaucratic processes with going through long lines, and then he goes into an elevator type thing, and he gets his nice Asgardian robes just eviscerated, and he's put into essentially like a jumpsuit, and he gets dropped into one thing where the dude's like, sign this paper to confirm that this is everything you said. Loki would say something, another paper would print. It's fun.
And that.
And he signs it, and then he gets dropped again. And then he gets basically taken from there to Mobius, played by Owen Wilson, not to be confused with the living vampire whose movie we all need right now, Morbius.
Or Lawrence Fishburne's Morbius from the Matrix films.
I believe that was it. Morpheus?
Was it Morpheus?
I think it was Morpheus.
Then that's on me. Don't confuse it with them either.
God, I gotta go back and watch The Matrix. I haven't watched it in like a decade.
Fourth one's coming out.
Yep, gotta catch up. Gotta catch up on my Keanu. Gotta do that. Gotta do John Wick. But I digress. And so he meets Mobius, and Loki has this collar on, and Loki's trying to be sly, trying to get away and cause mischief as he does. And the collar basically makes it so they can just, anytime he moves, like he could just try and get up and escape and like jump out a window to his escape, and all I have to do is push a button and boop, he's back at the chair that he was sitting in. And Mobius just kind of goes over, you're a variant, this, that, and the other, but and he fights for the sake of Loki to say, no, don't prune him. We could use him because we're doing, he has his own investigation where there's someone, a variant, jumping across the timeline and taking out all the TVA people that go after him. And we don't know who that is right out of the gate. But then the first episode ends where this variant is a Loki. And so he thinks, why not get a Loki to help catch a Loki? Elmer Fudd thinking right there. And then episode 2, we get to see Loki in the field, in action. And they go to the 80s, right? They go to 1984, 85 to a Ren Fair in Wisconsin, the Bristol Renaissance Fair.
The Bristol Renaissance Fair, yeah. It would name drop it because then they got to spend money. But what other Ren Fair is in Oshkosh, Wisconsin? You tell me.
That was the Bristol Renaissance Fair. And I was like, hey, I've been there. I'm going there again. I'm so excited to be there. Thanks for reminding me, Loki. And we see that he's there, and they're at the I guess you'd call it a crime scene, where you have the deceased attacked TVA agents, and Loki has to try and do detective work. And instead of doing detective work and actually, trying to play along with Mobius's plan to try and help Loki, He just keeps rambling and building up and just talking and just to talk and waste time while he's essentially letting the other Loki get away. And he just kind of keeps going until that strain strain that they're on that's going off is getting so close to a Nexus event, and Nexus event is it's a big bad no when it comes to the sacred timeline. We don't want a Nexus event. Nexus events are bad news bears. You have a Nexus event, everything goes crazy. Timekeepers don't like it.
Yeah, there's too many, then like that's the end of everything.
Yeah. You go too far, then it'll all branch out and have so many different timelines and universes, and it's a multitude of universes. I wish there was a singular word for that, almost like a multiverse.
And all this time with the TVA, Mobius's boss is Ravonna Renslayer, who is, I believe, a judge.
Yeah, she seems like
in the TVA.
Yeah, I think she's a judge, right? She was at the hearings. I assume that she's like.
I feel like she's a judge,
like a higher ranking official there.
Yeah, and she basically is her typical office life supervisor. Like, well, this doesn't come from me. This comes from upstairs. It's not me. It's the timekeepers. They're yes. So the timekeepers run the TVA.
Mm-hmm.
And all you really find out about them for like 4+ episodes is that like no one can see them. They're far too busy. They are at the end of time working on the epilogue.
Yes.
Like they are unraveling the sacred timeline so they can figure out the epilogue so they can continue to do their work. The TVA exists so the TVA can exist.
Yes.
And it's great and I love it.
Yes, the TVA exists to make sure that the sacred timeline stays nice and clean and orderly, and nothing gets too out of the goof, I guess. But yeah, so that kind of that in that episode we see then Loki actually starts to kind of cooperate after seeing his events. Like Mobius takes him back in. He's really mad because like, hey, I'm sticking my neck out for you to try and give you a better path to help us at the TVA. And Loki's like, how do I know that any of this is real, right? This amazing power to just control the timelines. Like who can wield such a power? And Mobius shows him through the lenses, like shows him things that 2012 Avengers Loki has yet to see, including the death of his mother Freya, including the Ragnarok, and eventually what we see in Avengers with Loki dying and being killed, saving his kin, saving his brothers, saving his countrymen, I guess, his fellow Asgardians. And Loki sits down and Mobius, leaves for a second, and he watches through all of this. He watches through all of these moments in his life that he has yet to experience, and it breaks him. It really, leaves a mark on him, because Loki has always been destined to lose. That is his purpose. He is supposed to lose. Loki does not win. And so he starts to kind of join in and actually kind of help. And they're looking for this variant Loki wherever they are and how they could hide from them so well. And they get a nice little information research montage between him and Mobius, looking through the library of time. And Loki kind of figures it out. He's like, okay, well, where are places where a Nexus event could not happen? And then he realizes, oh, it's huge disasters, apocalypses, Armageddons, places where everybody's going to be wiped out anyways. So who cares what they do? And they go and they test it at why can't I think of it?
They go to the planet. I can't remember the planet.
Well, they go to the volcano Pompeii. Yes, they go to Pompeii, and Loki does Loki things. He, is being a goofball. He's saying literally everybody here is going to die. Mobius is looking at his little like time meter thing to make sure that nothing is straying. So they realize, okay, so here's what's happening. This variant Loki that's been killing is hiding out in times where there is mass destruction and nobody lives. And so they figure out where which one big event that they've been hiding out in, because at the beginning you find Mobius and he's tracking the variant, and this child gives him this candy bar, I guess. I'm not really too sure. I thought it was like bubblegum. It looked like a bubblegum case.
It looks like the kablooey.
Yeah.
It looks like bubblegum.
And they look for that and find that is something sold and in the year 20 whatever in the future, at here in Oklahoma at a mall, and this is where that's going to happen. And they are able to find where they at least think, and they go into the mall, and they kind of split off. The TVA agent who originally apprehended Loki, whose name escapes me. I know that she had a a stormtrooper type call name. And they split up, and Mobius finds these
B-15.
Mobius finds these scared people who are trying to wait out this massive natural disaster. And Loki and B-15 go off, and they find the variant Loki, whose powers are a little bit different. Their power is more of possession, being able to take control of people's minds and have them bend to your will, and being able to talk through them, and this, that, and the other. Eventually, they have a little bit of a fight. And then they finally reveal themselves that this is the female Loki, who hates to be called Loki, whose name is Sylvie. And she has a bone to pick with the TVA. We don't know why, but TVA is bad, and she wants to eradicate it. And she's able to steal the portal machine that B-15 has, to where she can go back to the TVA in hopes to take out the timekeepers. And Mobius finds a TVA agent who went on the mission to Bristol, to the Renaissance Fair, who Sylvie captured and tortured, and it basically did kind of like the Kylo Ren thing, where she's looking in their minds to get information, but it's a lot more what's the word? Subtle, where she accesses their memories and things of that nature. And as far as everybody in the TVA is aware, all the TVA agents, they believe that they were all made by the timekeepers to serve this purpose, which is protect the sacred timeline. That is their purpose. That is why they were made. They did not have lives before that. Turns out when she accesses those memories, the memories of the captured officer, those memories, she accesses them because they're there. It's not something that she creates. And these memories you see are not places within the TVA. These are places like, I think they were at some restaurant where they love margaritas and things of that nature. And it kind of puts this TVA agent in a panic, like, who am I? Where am I? This is not my.
Why is Gamora?
Why is Gamora? This is not my beautiful house. And so the Lokis go back to the TVA. They cause some shenanigans. Mobius gets upset because Loki chooses to follow Sylvie to try and apprehend her. And eventually they get caught, and what's her face? The judge lady, Renslayer. She says that, we're going to take care of the variant. Sylvie, Mobius, you take care of Loki. And Mobius is like, well, why can't I? This is my job to interrogate them. Why can't I do both? She's like, no, we'll take care of Sylvie. You deal with Loki. He's the reason why this happened. And, he goes to Loki and he's like, I'm disappointed in you. It's like, wow, I'm disappointed in you. I don't say wow on the show.
Nope, not once.
Not once. He does say how in kind of the same way. So I'll allow that to slide. Like, I get you, Mobius. You'll get your jet ski one day. And he puts Loki in like a time prison where it is just one of his memories replayed over and over again. And that memory is of Lady Sif after he had played a prank and cut her hair. And she shows up. She tells him basically he's worthless. He's never going to be happy.
You did this.
Then she knees him in the groin. And Loki tries to talk his way out of it, even to the point where it's like, okay, I understand. I am not a good person. I have caused a lot of pain to a lot of people. And so he comes out, and you could tell Loki is just visibly shook. But during that time, Mobius is when he finds out that the TVA agent that was captured by Sylvie had...
Well, the memory's a loop.
Yeah.
No sooner does Lady Sif leave as she enters where she came.
But
and it goes again and again and again and again.
She enters after enough time has passed for Loki to at least, get some composure after being hit. And it's like, oh, okay, I deserve that. And then it happens again. And then again. Just torture. But yeah, so Mobius looks into, hey, I want to interview the TVA agent who was captured by Sylvie. And the judge lady whose name escapes me. Started with an R, right?
Renslayer.
Yeah, Renslayer. She was like, oh, she succumbed to her injuries. She unfortunately died. And Mobius is like, well, that doesn't really add up. When we got her, I mean, she seemed shaken, but she seemed okay. And Renslayer's like, nope, she's dead. Sylvie killed him. Loki's killed her. She's gone. We should prune him. Let's prune him. And, when Mobius was talking with Loki, Loki said, hey, you're, oh, wait, no, I think I skipped some parts. It's fine. But Loki's like, hey, everything you guys have experienced, it's all fake. And they're like, yeah, good try. We were made by the Timekeepers. They're like, no, the Timekeepers took you. You're all variants. But Loki and Sylvie do eventually find a way to escape. And that's when they escape to this literally the worst like apocalypse that they could go to, where they're on this planet and the moon is crashing into it. Real Majora's Mask stuff, except the moon doesn't have a happy face.
Happy face?
Yeah, totally. He got his mouth open. He's like, cheesing.
I don't know. Okay. I played both Majora's Mask and neither of them was a happy face. They both had different nightmare faces.
And so, yeah, they're on that planet. And what happens on the planet?
The planet it's a whole thing. They're trying to get on a vessel to leave the planet. But that falls through. Loki tries to kind of do his usual tricks. That doesn't work. So he's like, no, I got it. I'm going to enchant them. Loki's like, I don't know how to do that. And she's like, I do. So they get on the train. And they end up having to leave the train because Loki kind of lets his guard down.
Yeah.
Sylvie sleeps. They kind of sit there and kind of have a very tender moment while they wait for the end of the world. How'd you feel about the romance between Loki and Sylvie? Is it weird? Is it not weird? I'm on the fence.
I didn't think it was that weird. I mean, yeah, they're supposed to be two Lokis from like different timelines, but they're also
right.
Still,
so it's kind of someone having a romantic relationship with themselves, kind of, but not really.
Yeah, not really, because she is a different person. She does have different qualities than Loki. She was very much more of a punch first, ask questions later, whereas Loki is very much silver tongued. Gonna talk my way out of this, and then I'll resort to tricks and schemes and stuff like that. I don't know. I get why people think it's weird. I get why people think it might be okay because it's legitimately a different person. But that one, that one's up to really your own interpretation. It's like a more weird version of the top at the end of Inception. It's your choice. Did Cobb live? Did he live happily with his family? Is he still in a dream? You don't know. Another good movie that I need to watch again. But yes.
The TVA, meanwhile, has been in pursuit of them for a long time.
Yes. They've been.
And they realize, hey, look at this new crazy spike. Maybe they're here.
Yes. And this spike is so much different than the other spikes because all the other spikes are like a slow, right?
This is like a 90-degree angle.
Yeah,
like it just goes up.
Yeah, like almost 90-degree angle. Like this Nexus event, like you guys got to get moving. Otherwise, it's going to hit and everything's going to go wrong. And Sacred Timeline's going to go to heck. And then the X-Men are going to show up.
Okay. We'll get there.
Mouth boner.
But yeah, so TVA shows up, busts them. They trying to remember. I meant to watch this series again, but work has just been utterly insane the past week.
I get it. I meant to watch it again too. But I dropped the ball as well for the same reasons. Work, right?
So good. The long and short of it is that Sylvie is utterly, completely hell-bent on having an audience with the timekeepers, on figuring out what's going on, because this has ruined her life.
Yes.
We got a flashback of when she was a child, and her life has just gone downhill since they declared her a variant for some reason, and has just completely ruined her life. And she knows that the TVA is made up of variants, but she also knows the TVA doesn't know that.
Yeah.
But someone must know that, but no one knows who that is. And it's these timekeepers. So she's like, all right, we're going to get in audience with them. I think Renslayer brings them before the timekeepers.
She does, yeah. They
if I'm not mistaken. Okay.
And that's when she's able to convince B-15 that she did have another life because she used the same technique that she used prior. And, Loki was finally able to persuade Mobius. He's like, hey, you've had a life before this. And
you know how you're always going on about these jet skis? Mm-hmm. Maybe you had a jet ski.
Maybe you had a jet ski. and Renslayer, like when she's confronted by Mobius, she prunes him. Essentially, they have a back and forth, and she prunes him. She just erases him. She doesn't want this news to get out. The sacred timeline is more important than any person and any relationship. So she does that, and then that's when they take Loki and Sylvie to the Timekeepers. They finally go to the top floor of the really pretty hotel that they got those shots in for the TVA. And so they meet the Timekeepers, and Timekeepers are talking, and Sylvie and Loki are like, nah, man, what you guys are doing is wrong. You're not giving people free will, this, that, and the other. And Sylvie finds her shot. She takes it, and she hits one of the Timekeepers, and psych, they are all robots.
Yeah.
And robots, as you know, are controlled by somebody else. Except for the case of Vision and Ultron and the robot from iRobot, voiced by Alan Tudyk. And
Ultron famously has no strings on him.
Yes. That was a great.
So then there's quite a scuffle, since like Renslayer doesn't seem to be phased that this was a robot and not real.
Mm-hmm.
And Sylvie's just like, oh my God, how far does this go? I thought this was it. So there's a fight with some pretty cool choreography. Mm-hmm. And Loki kind of like is, wait, stop. We can do this. But then he's pruned. He's stabbed with one of those fancy rods.
Yes.
And he is unalived.
He is.
Or so we think.
Unalived. He is erased. Or so we think.
And we cut to the post-credit scene, which is the episodes 4 and 6 have them. That's it.
Yep.
And 6 is like the worst one I've ever seen in my entire life. So the post-credit scene has Loki kind of waking up in some crazy, I don't know about war-torn, but like torn, like amalgamation world.
Yeah.
Being stared at by 3 Lokis.
The old
3. I'm going to say 3 because there's classic Loki, Kid Loki, and Alligator Loki.
Alligator Loki,
the prince.
And then the other Loki. I can't remember his name, but there were 4 Lokis there. But really, the most important one.
Yes, there were 4 Lokis there,
and that's kind of where that leads up into, I think, episode 5, where you meet the Lokis. You meet the 4 variant Lokis that were sent to this place, this end of time realm, and they have their own underground bunker with Frog.
The other Loki is credited as Boastful Loki.
Okay. Where there's but they go to this underground bunker, and you see Frog Thor there, which was fun. He was all caught up in a thing.
Trying to get the hammer.
And you kind of learn a bit about the place that they're in. They're like, they don't completely erase these timelines and start over. When they prove...
Because you can't.
Yeah, because you can't. They send you here.
To the... I think it's beyond the end of time?
Kind of like beyond the end of time, where there's a giant smoke monster...
and they're always on the move, because what Lokis do absolutely best is self-preserve.
Yes. And so they're sitting there, and Loki's getting all this information that, this is where the TVA sends people. They send people here to just rot away and die, to get
eaten by the beasts, basically.
There are marauders there, there are cannibals there. But the before Loki can really get into it on how to fight back, the elevator opens and you get like 15 other Lokis, one of which is President Loki.
Yeah, which I remember seeing him in the trailer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh yeah, that's a thing.
Yep. You see him in the trailer. He has his own poster as well.
Vote Loki.
Yep. And it is a coup. It is the boastful Loki has betrayed Kid Loki, Classic Loki, and Alligator Loki.
And they were treating Kid Loki as like their leader because his Nexus event was killing Thor.
He killed Thor.
So of the four of them, no other one killed Thor.
No. And then there's this huge Loki fight that happens, as each of them wants to take up this throne of like leader of this barren wasteland.
And it's exactly what I wanted from this, which was just, no, I backstabbed you. I'm going to be the thing. No, I backstabbed you. I'm going to be the thing.
Yes.
And just that kind of escalation. It was so good.
Yes.
So well done.
Yes. And Alligator Loki gets a hand from President
Gets
Loki.
President Loki's hand.
Yes, he does. He gets a hand from the president. And they, Classic Loki and Alligator Loki are able to escape while the rest of them just duke it out and try and kill each other. And at that time, Sylvie finds out how to get there. She knows that, okay, they're not disappearing. They're being sent to a point beyond time. And she prunes herself. She goes there and she is face to face with this smoke monster. And she's able to get a little help from our main man, Mobius, driving a pizza truck or a pizza car delivery vehicle. And they outrun the smoke monster. And, she's trying to figure out, one, how are they going to find Loki? Clearly he's somewhere here. And two, how are they going to get to this person that controlled the timekeepers? And eventually she does find Loki, and they have a nice little welcome back, as well as Mobius finds his boy and, the power of friendship. And the Lokis begin a plot to take down the smoke monster because they realize the smoke monster is a guard dog and it's guarding wherever the head honcho has to be. And Loki was like, oh, well, I'm going to go and I'm going to kill it. I'm going to stab it in the back. Go ahead and just use my knives and stab the smoke monster. And Sylvie was like, or I can try to enchant it and possess it and make it not violent. Ultimately, they went with that plan. And with some great visual effects, Classic Loki, what he does is he creates, I guess, constructs, right? He creates other, things, and he creates this huge Asgard structure to get the attention of the giant smoke monster. Unfortunately, Classic Loki does not survive the encounter, but he distracts it long enough for Sylvie and Loki, after holding hands, using the power of the Loki power, they are able to enchant this beast, and this beast then opens a doorway into another place where assumed he who remains spends his time. And so they get there, and it's very spooky. It's all dark, and it looks like it's an old house and something you'd see in like Scooby-Doo. And they go into the house, and they are greeted by Miss Minute saying, hey, for this one time, we'll let you guys have your own timeline. You guys will get to be together. Loki, you'll get everything you ever wanted. You'll essentially get the same outcome that MODOK wanted in the MODOK show, which is God Emperor Loki. And Sylvie is like, no, I don't want this. They took my life from me. And she was like, well, you also will be able to get all of those memories back. All of that. And they decide to turn it down. They say, this is not really this isn't what they want. They want to be able to break the TVA's hold, to be able to allow people to have the choice of free will. And they finally go and they meet he who remains. And I don't know the actor's name who plays him.
Jonathan Majors.
Jonathan Majors. I loved his performance in the.
His name is my name too.
And I loved his performance in this show.
Oh, he was excellent.
He
loved it.
Was very good at being somebody who has lived eons. Who he goes over basically, this is why the sacred timeline exists. This is why this is all created. And you find out in the very distant future, there's a multiversal war, and it started by worse versions of him. And he was the only one smart enough.
Forever ago in the 31st century.
Yeah, forever ago. And he was the only one who was able to create a way to get all of those timelines erased and just put into this one perfect, beautiful, straight line. And he says, I've been getting weary of this job, and you guys are both crafty, Loki and Sylvie. You're both smart, and really seem you guys were able to get here. No one's ever done that before. I don't know what's going to happen after this this exchange, but you have two choices. You can kill me and guarantee a multiversal war, or you can take my place and see to the sacred timeline, rule the TVA, tell them the truths, tell all the TVA workers the truth about who they are and how they are all variants and taken and stuff like that, and do the right thing and tell them. And sure, it may seem like you're keeping people's free will from them, but isn't that better than a massive scale war where millions die?
Yep. I think I got the phrase wrong, but he says the choice is either stifling control or multiversal chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the options. And if you think I'm awful, honey, you got a big storm coming.
Just wait till you meet my variants. And Loki considers this proposition, knowing that he can stop a war, a multiversal war that just destroys so much. But Sylvie is bent on revenge. This is the guy who ruined her life. This guy must pay. And Sylvie and Loki have their big climactic fight against each other. Loki fighting to try and subdue her and show her the error of her ways, and that he understands the pain that she feels. He understands that kind of pain. And you think he gets the upper hand. Before he's able to do anything, Sylvie throws him back to the TVA, leaving he who remains with her. And she makes the decision to kill he who remains, thus setting the timelines free to branch out. And you just see this both in the TVA and then in I guess you would say you see it in the actual physical amalgamation of the timeline of it just branching out in this just huge web that could not keep track of. And Loki, back at the TVA, is in a panic. He looks for Mobius. He is going to tell them, hey, she's going to kill she is going to kill he who remains. He needs to get back there, and he finds Mobius, and Mobius is like, "Who are you?"
Yeah, he's like, there's someone bad is coming. There are many of them. They're all bent on war. We need to prepare.
And he's just, "I'm sorry, who are you? Are you in
What
engineering?
department are you?"
Yeah, what department are you?" And the show ends, and you see that in the TVA there was originally 3 statues of the timekeepers. That statue has been changed to 1 statue. And the statue,
a statue of Jonathan Majors himself.
Jonathan Majors himself in the garb of Kang, the Conqueror. And
it was so good. Post-credit scene is just a form and with a stamp that says Loki will return in season 2.
Yeah,
that's worst post-credit scene I've ever seen in my entire life.
That
because the day before the episode aired, Disney confirmed Loki season 2 is happening.
Yeah, so
it served actually no purpose.
Also, I didn't feel like it should have been even considered a post-credit scene. Like, that's the same thing as like at the end of each James Bond film, they would say James Bond will return. But yeah, it sets up.
It has the same effect. I think the difference is this one had like actual action, and the James Bond will return is pretty much a title card.
Yeah. And so,
but yeah, it was, and by action I mean motion. Something physically moved.
Yeah,
there wasn't action.
Yeah, someone stamped the paper and said Loki will return in season 2, and it kicks off. This is the official starting point of Phase 4, where we're going to see.
Yes, Kevin Feige said a while ago that Phase 4 is building towards 2 things, and this is definitely one of those 2 things.
Yes, and they even mentioned a few days ago that they actually had a meeting on the parameters of the multiverse. Like, higher ups at Marvel actually sat down and talked about how they're going to run the multiverse, and they had a meeting. But it sets up, Phase 4. It sets up the multiverse of madness, which, like, woof, Doctor Strange, man's got some work cut out for him. Maybe it sets up Spider-Man No Way Home. Who knows?
I mean, there's got to be a reason why it's middle or end of July and we don't have a trailer for that movie yet.
Mm-hmm. But yeah,
got to be a reason.
Yeah, overall the show was not at all what I expected. It was the only thing I expected that I got was Loki, and I got significantly more Loki than I was expecting. It was very good. I really liked it. It is, talking about it on a podcast, it's tough to really explain all the intricacies and stuff. It's, something where you sit and you watch it, and visually watching it, I was like, okay, this makes sense. Whereas maybe listening to us just sounds like we're babbling about time, which eventually that's what we're going to get to with, future MCU titles, which will be fun. I'm very excited that they're opening up the multiverse. Like I've said before with DC films, the multiverse is your strength, use it. And now that we have all the Marvel properties under one roof, this is a good way to show up and have Fantastic
Four. Under one roof is like an asterisk, but yeah.
There's definitely
Sony.
Yeah, Sony. But you have Fantastic Four that can show up. Maybe they're in a timeline. The X-Men, right? And
Fantastic. I mean, they could change it because, like, in the MCU, it's Tony who makes Ultron, not Pym.
Mm-hmm.
So they could change it. But Kang is a descendant of Reed Richards in the comics.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah. So I think part of what is taking so long and why you're not getting mutants immediately is we know that Marvel works very far out in advance.
Mm-hmm.
Like very far out in advance. We know that like Black Widow was not initially planned and kind of added to the slate of movies. And legally, when the rights go back and you can't even storyboard, have a conversation, hope for, etc. with these properties until it is finalized and you legally have control.
Right.
And that happened last year.
Right.
So like you couldn't do a lot.
No.
So I think this is the first taste because again, Kang is a descendant of Reed Richards.
Right.
So that's why it's going to be a while still. I think the earliest, based on knowing that knowledge, would probably be the Marvels.
Yeah.
Because that's heavily rumored that Rogue is going to be a villain.
Ooh.
Maybe not the villain, but a villain.
Ooh.
Which is like, chef's kiss, let's do it. Because that's what happens. That's how she got her powers. Was she got them from contact with Ms. Marvel.
I didn't know that.
Yep,
Look at me.
one Carol Danvers. That's how she got the ball. That's the flying, the strength. That's where it all came from.
Look at me learning things.
Yeah, and Rogue again started off as a villain, much like Wolverine started off as a villain.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
How about villain? Like bad guy, not villain.
Yeah,
he was just a dude for Hulk to fight. Like, let's be real. Yeah. He wasn't like a bad guy. He was just a dude for Hulk to fight.
he was bad guy, but he wasn't bad guy.
He was definitely not bad guy. But yeah, how does God, the future is so bright, man. There's so much cool stuff going on. Mm-hmm. I want to know what's going on with this Spider-Man.
Yeah. And
like I need Doctor Strange right now.
Yeah, instead of next year.
Oh my God. And we have 3 more Marvel movies this year.
Yeah. Yep. We have the Eternals.
And these movies are just adding different dimensions that we not dimension, but like different aspects of Marvel Universe that we didn't have.
Exactly.
Like Shang-Chi. I mean, I guess that the Ten Rings has been there since literally Iron Man.
Right.
But I mean, it's a whole aspect of Marvel Universe that we don't have any content on really. Because we had some cohorts of the Ten Rings. Ben Kingsley's Trevor Slattery was not the Mandarin.
Yes.
That was evidenced by the Hail the King short.
Great one.
So like we don't know what's going on with that exactly. So that's new. And then Eternals. That's a huge aspect of the Marvel Universe that like no content on.
Yeah.
Apparently Thanos is an Eternal.
Is he?
In the comics. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like that's neat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I gotta know what's going on with Wanda.
There are so many obviously with a show like this there are going to be tons of theories, and so far none of them I've seen have referenced Mephisto, so like that's forward progress.
Yeah, because before the show premiered, Marvel said, "Hey, just a heads up, there's no Mephisto in Loki because in episode 1 you see a gigantic piece of stained glass with a devil."
It's a misdirect, everybody. Mephisto's coming.
Yeah, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness release date is currently March 25th.
Could not come around sooner. You know, there's so many.
I mean, it could have. We could have not had the pandemic, and then we could have been watching it like in a month.
Yeah. We
could have watched Black Widow last year.
Yeah, that episode could have came out a year ago. But yeah, there was also that one fun TikTok that you showed me of somebody who synced up the last episode of WandaVision and the last episode of Loki, and it like
isn't that something?
So
let's get into that because that is pretty cool.
So
apparently, yeah, if you start both final episodes of WandaVision and Loki at the same time, there's a really it's in Loki, it's fascinating, but it's He Who Remains, Jonathan Majors, talking about like, because when they arrive there, they have like, he has the script. He has what everyone's going to say, what everyone's going to do. He knows everything. And as they go on, he gets really quiet, starts kind of trailing off. The camera like pushes in on him. And he's like, oh, we've crossed the threshold.
Yeah, and you hear a crack of thunder as well.
And what's going on in the WandaVision
Wanda is becoming Scarlet Witch at that time.
And Scarlet Witch, listeners, is a Nexus being, which means across every universe, Wanda Maximoff is always the Scarlet Witch. She is a constant in every universe she's in.
Amazing.
In the comics. That could, of course, change in the MCU.
Yes.
They've done it before.
Yeah, they absolutely could have. But that's just so... And like, he drops something, and that's like the same time she drops Agatha to the ground after their big fight. And I was just like, that is brilliant. Like, oh my God.
I hope it was planned, and I hope it was intentional, because, like, my God, chef's kiss.
It has
perfection.
to be, right? There's no way.
I would like it to be.
There's no way that could have just been coincidence. It just feels like it can't be coincidence. Like, it fits up so perfectly. But that was just mind blowing. And if they are thinking of that and stuff, they're already in that mindset. Like, oh, yes. Yeah. Loki is a fun one. Opens the doors.
Not my favorite season of Umbrella Academy, but it's up there. It's up there.
Yeah. The lack of Five and Diego really take me out of it, because those two.
There's no Klaus. There's no Allison.
There's no Klaus. No Allison. It's like, why?
There's no Ben.
There's no Pogo.
There's no Pogo.
But no,
I like Loki a lot. It is very, very good. But I was not, and like, it's like mind blowing. Like, just all the cool. It is such an essential piece for where the Marvel universe is going to go from here.
Mm-hmm.
But that having been said, I was not emotionally gripped by Loki.
I was.
And usually I'm very, very invested in what's going on.
That one got me. I was into it. And I was like, I like the romance and stuff. I was into it. I was like, you guys just belong together because you're like the same person. You're two halves of the whole. I really liked it though. And it's very exciting. It literally opens up the doors to an unimaginable amount of possibilities, because now they have the multiverse that they can play with. And
they've done the work laying the framework out, right? Like, they didn't do this lightly. They introduced the concept in Avengers Endgame. There was a well-placed explanation from the Ancient One about what happens when things don't go the way they're supposed to go. And then audiences were more brought up to speed, even like basically the fans who aren't super invested in the comics themselves were more caught up to speed with Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse as a concept.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, you get it. These are all different spider people, but they're all like the spider person.
Yeah.
Like, so they're brought up to speed more on the concept. So now it's a thing you can explore. Now it's a thing you can just go nuts on, and the audience will understand it.
Right.
So they've laid the framework. The audiences get it more. Now we can do it.
Yes.
I think DC has just been holding off on it because it's too weird and people don't want it.
DC, we do. We do.
I mean, maybe they are, because like the Batman,
right.
Joker, these are not part of the DCEU.
No.
Like, proper.
Right.
It's like, maybe. Is Zack Snyder's Justice League canon? I don't even know.
I wish it was.
We could just amend that line where it's like, basically says Harley Quinn is dead.
Yep.
Because, like, she's the greatest thing the universe has going.
Which Margot Robbie didn't even know.
I know.
She didn't even know in Zack Snyder's Justice League that she was dead.
Meanwhile, she's benching Birds of Prey.
Yep. And yep.
Which that's not even fair, because everyone in that movie crushes their roles. Does a fantastic performance. But she was the known quantity to moviegoers going into Birds of Prey.
Yes. You people saw that and it was like, it's a Harley Quinn movie.
And that's what I'm sure sold seats, but like, that movie is just, I love that movie so much.
It's very
It's
good.
so good.
It is very good. And the next movie I think that we're covering will be The Suicide Squad, which comes
The Suicide
comes
Squad.
out in August. So that'll be a fun movie.
I think it's like early August.
Yeah, I think it's like first half of August. I'm not sure.
I think it's like 2 weeks.
Probably something like that, which means we'll be able to get a comic book in. But next week, we are finishing our Talkin' Trades, Goes to the Movies and the Couches, by watching the Amazon smash show, Invincible.
Invincible.
I have seen so many memes from that show.
Yes.
One of my friends, he does merchandise and stuff, and he's been just on an Invincible kick where he's just been selling stuff like that. Normally he does stuff like DBZ and other stuff.
Would you think this movie comes out in 2 weeks and 2 days?
Oh, man. Man. What a racket, huh? So many things. So many episodes that we have in the future. We don't even know if there's going to be another fandom, which I would love to have another fandom.
I thought there was. I thought they were doing it.
I haven't seen anything yet, but it would be cool. But I digress. That should do it here for this week. Next week, like I said,
Fandom is in October. October 16th, 2021.
Yes. The dome is coming back.
You may have heard it here first because I did not know of the date whatsoever.
I mean, that means we really got to get this episode out fast. It's hot news, John.
It's hot. Breaking news.
But for this week's episode, for Loki, for John, myself, we'll see you next week. That's the podcast this week. And remember, don't cause a Nexus event, people. Otherwise, you'll get sent to a terrible hellscape realm where you get eaten by the smoke monster from Lost.
Two quick things I want to throw out there. One, apparently Chris Hemsworth is credited as the voice of Throg.
Yeah.
Did not know that. Second, maybe three things. Secondly, it's not fair of us to expect something like a huge monumental reveal like Kang in this movie from each and every Disney show that comes out.
Mm.
But like, man, it was cool when it happened.
Yeah.
It was cool. And the third thing, I am struggling to remember it at this point. So I guess that we are just going to skip it because I cannot remember it.
We'll remember it next time. But that's the podcast.
I'll remember as soon as I stop recording.
Oh,
Don't
absolutely.
worry.
That's exactly what happens every time. But that's the podcast this week. Okay, bye.
Bye. You can follow us on Twitter at Talkin' Trades. Follow Jeremy on Twitter at LizardKing27. You can find John on Twitter at Maesterlaka, Maesterlaka. And for this and other projects from Matt, please check out Facebook at Matt Spina Music. And remember, we're not experts, we're fans.